Thank me later, yeah, I know what I said. But later doesn't always come, so
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. All right, mic check 1 2
We good?
1 2.
We in this thing?
We in this thing.
We in this thing, bro.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Thank Me Later podcast. This is episode 6. I am your boy Nutty.
Slow Jam Philly. You already know how we intro.
We have a special guest, and we're going to continue to have this special guest every episode. But we're going to call him Mr. Invisible.
Shout out to
because Mr. Invisible does not have a name. He has no face. He will just be there and be a voice to randomly pop in. So what's popping over there, Mr. Invisible?
What's up?
Mr. Invisible, I love y'all.
Yo.
Hey, he tried to rose.
So we're back with episode 6 now. How you feeling, Phil?
Hey, I'm honestly, like I always say to y'all, I really miss y'all every time I'm gone. Like, we're really going to start doing these more eventually, y'all. But I really miss y'all when I'm gone, man.
So check this out. Before we get too deep, because I have a feeling most people know what we were going to touch on this episode, because there's been a lot going on in the news. But I'm going to kick it off with my hot take. My hot take of the day.
Talk to me.
Single people, stop giving out relationship advice. Nobody wants to hear your shit. If you've never been in a successful relationship or you're not currently in one that's been going for more than a month, stop giving advice to your peoples.
Hey, that's really the worst.
Nobody wants to hear that shit.
Especially the best girlfriends.
Right? It's used. See, people gonna start thinking I'll be dogging women, but I'm really not. But it's mostly women that do this shit. It's always the friend who ain't never had a man longer than 2 weeks that want to tell her friend who's been in a relationship for a year how to deal with her man. Listen, shut up.
I mean, yeah.
That's it. No, just shut up. You're single for a reason. Don't give relationship advice. So that's just that. So we are off that, and we're gonna touch a little somber topic. For those of you who've been living under a rock and haven't seen it on the news, Nipsey Hussle, L.A., born and raised, philanthropist, rapper, father, husband, self-proclaimed prophet, leader of men,
advocate. I don't even know if you said advocate for black men, black people
for life. Was murdered.
Yeah.
In the streets of L.A. on his block, his own neighborhood,
in front of his store,
in front of the corner he owned. Crenshaw and Slauson.
R.I.P. Nip.
Definitely R.I.P. Nip.
You know what like what I've been thinking about all week is just the impact that I think that, I mean, and I'm not from the hood. I mean, anybody who knows me, I'm not from the hood. But it's crazy, though, how much he resonated with me in my life. Like, just speaking existence into my life and motivated me to become a better man, a better black man. And, like, it's somebody who you can, like, see. It's like, I don't know you, but you're my peer. You're my boy just because you speak for all of us. And I think that's why it hit so many people hard, because it's like, you could listen to his music and be like, this slaps. And even when he's talking about the street or the grind or the struggle, you could always relate that to something in your life.
Yeah.
Always. And that was the thing with me. Like, when I heard about it, I was like, dang. And just the way that it happened, it was like, how can that much hate be in another person to kill another person just because basically they're more successful than them and they're doing more?
I mean, that literally is the base of it. Like, I know, like, for me, the crazy part is I've never been a big LA rap fan.
Right.
Like, other than Pac, Cube, and a lot of the guys that came, in the 90s, I never really dove into it. But I began listening to Nipsey because you constantly kept posting them either in our group chat or on social media. I was like, all right, let me check this dude out, because I didn't know anything about him, and started listening to his music. Started doing my research on him, and seeing how growing up as a Crip, obviously that lifestyle, being from Oakland, how the hood works, and if you in a gang, most of the time it's blood in, blood out. But the way he transformed his life from not necessarily leaving, because obviously Bloods and Crips, you can't leave
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But to still have that essence of lifestyle while doing something positive, building your business, building your music, and wanting to give back so much to the community. How can you not root for somebody like that?
Yeah.
How can you not be a fan of somebody like that? Because his music is a small portion of what I'm a fan of.
Right.
Like him being good at music is just like a cherry on top.
On top.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because once I started doing my research, I was like, yo, he's meeting with LAPD. He's like trying to stop gang violence in South Central LA. He's putting his money where his mouth is. He bought the corner that he used to hustle at in order to create jobs for his community. To literally people don't realize that's putting, like, the taxes he pays for that business goes back into his city. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, the music part. His music is cool. That's no doubt about that. But as a person, if you don't love and respect that, it's something wrong with you.
Right, and that's what I mean. Shoot, that's what hit me. Like, just thinking about everything that he did, like everything that he was doing.
Yeah.
Like starting with the youth, like bringing the youth, like owning your own stuff, like black businesses, all like. You can look at that, and he like said, not that he laid out the blueprint, but in a way, like the way he went about things. Again, I can just relate that to my life and like what we're trying to do, and just what my friends are trying to do, and see like how to go about things a different way. And I think that's what he did, and that's why he was so successful in bringing, like, he stood for unity and respect, like bringing everybody together, being cool with Bloods, like being cool with everybody. He didn't like, of course, everybody. I mean, everybody has problems with somebody, but for the most part, like. He was trying to bring everybody together, and that's what I think was so big. And then for like jealousy, it's like your own people. Not saying that this was his homie, but it's like you really like look at life differently. Like I have this whole week, like who's really like in your corner, who's really has looking out for your best interests at heart. Like,
and then another thing it makes me think is what makes it so relatable is the fact that I grew up in East Oakland. I've seen the worst of the worst that can come out of people from the streets, and when the story broke of who it was that murdered him, and then seeing the pictures of the old pictures come out of him in the pictures, it's literally a nonstop story, a tragic story that the cold part is this is the first time. It's usually. If you are successful, don't want to leave the hood, 9 times out of 10, the person that either affects your business, hurts your business, or wants the worst for you is somebody close to you. And that's the fucked up part about it, is because it'll make people think like, yeah, I want to be successful and get back to my hood, but at the same time, I want to get the fuck out of here, because there ain't no telling who's jealous, who's envious. You literally don't know.
And that's why on the last episode we were talking about like people who don't know you support you more than people who know you. And it's crazy because like it's like you would think you come up in the same grind, you come up in the same struggle, but Nipsey had that ambition. He had that extra will to want to go and do his thing and that extra push. And he just happened to be successful with his grind and his hard work. And there's people that look at that like, oh. I didn't make it. We were doing the same thing. We was on the same block, but I didn't make it. Like F Nipsey.
For like, real. Like why him?
Crazy to me to even think about.
Why him? Why not me?
I was never molded that way, and that's just so crazy. Like this is a father, a boyfriend, like a son. Like I just thought about all those things ran through my head, and just this like from everything that I see in the picture that I have of him. It saddened me for sure. My energy has been off. Like,
tragedies like this will affect us because we're fans. Most people don't think how it affects the people closest to them. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way we can imagine what his kids are gonna feel, what his woman's gonna feel, what his parents are gonna like. That's the crazy part. Like it affects us a lot, and we don't know him at all.
Right.
Like I've never met Nipsey a day in my life, but it hurt me the moment that this came out.
Because we were inspired, like we seen it, like. But imagine, like you said, the people who are with him every day. The people who seen the hard work, seen the grind, seen the process.
That's where it hurts 10 times more because him doing so great and maybe so many people depending on him, and for someone to you know take his life simply because. And the cold part, this is another up scenario with it. Knowing the streets, him being a Crip, right, and the dude that murdered him. Dudes that are known as snitches get offed.
Yeah.
Like, you don't last very long as a
Yeah.
known snitch from the streets. Nipsey simply said, "Listen, you can't be here.
Right.
Like, you're a known snitch. Like, you just can't be here. Like, I know you. You gotta go." Because of that, like, that's as much respect as a snitch should get.
Right.
And the fact that he couldn't take that and just go, had to somewhat prove himself by killing him, simply because you couldn't. Like, if Nipsey was still in his, thug street days before all of this, you roll up on him like that, being a known snitch, you dead right there on the spot.
Right.
But he, from reports, he respectfully told him, like, "Look, bro, I know I know your shit. You can't be here. You gotta go." Told him to leave. Dude comes back, murders him. Like, that's, and it's hard to call it the male ego, but some people literally take that to heart and just have no other way of expressing it other than to take that type of action, and it's up. I mean, that's how some people, just come out to be, man, and it's unfortunate because now we got to go through life wondering the what ifs. Like, how far could he have gone?
Right.
Like, what more could he have, done for the community? What more could he have done for society in general? Like, that was just the start. Building his own community. He probably wanted to go further.
He for sure did. I mean, and that's why his name will live on forever.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Forever, for sure. And I mean, like I said, in this past week, I have even looked at life differently.
Yeah, the marathon continues. It's not stopping.
Continues.
It's not stopping. It's definitely not stopping.
Long live Nip.
Long live Nip, man. Rest in peace. So with that, had me thinking, fate. Most people who believe in God believe that their path is predetermined. Others don't. I walk a fine line of believing that. Most don't, because I'm not the most religious person. I keep saying that a lot. But fate. Do you believe that fate plays a role in determining how one's life goes?
So that's what I don't know if I necessarily, because I am a religious person. I mean, of course, I'm not the most religious person, but I mean, I think.
Like, do you think fate and your path that God has set for you are two different things, or do you think they somewhat coexist together?
I kind of think they coexist for the simple fact that I think everything happens for a reason, and I think you look back on certain like aspects and certain situations in your life, and you're like, how did this happen? How did I, like, even like let's say your partner, like, how did we end up in the same place at the same time? At, like, on this day.
At this time.
Even when I wasn't supposed to be here, but I'm here.
The moon's aligned that way.
Right. And I'm like, how does this, like, and I always think about, like I feel like God put me in this position for a reason. And I always, like there's situations in my life where I'll laugh or I'll look up and be like, I know that was you, God. Or just something that's happened to me. Because I'm just like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way that I could lose, like, I could lose a job, be without a job for months. And then I'm looking and all of a sudden this job just appears that just is right for me.
Yeah.
And I apply and I just happen to get it after I applied to 100 jobs.
Yeah.
Like, why this one? Like,
why that one?
How did this happen? Like, I always think about that stuff. So I think, like, the path that I'm on and the path that, like, the direction I'm going to, I feel like God has it. Like, again, God has a plan regardless of
So while I dive into that, I'm gonna have Mr. Invisible Google this and see what comes up when it comes to the difference between fate and God's plan. Because I feel like it's one and the same, but then people who don't necessarily believe in God wholesomely
Right.
could use fate as their reasoning as to why they met a certain person on a certain day at a certain time when everything that led up to that could have deterred it just off by 1 millisecond. Things could have gone differently in any scenario. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like because of my on off relationship with religion and church and all that stuff, that I feel like fate is a big thing behind a lot of the shit that we deal with. Like, I feel like, there's certain things that happen in your past that could determine the outcome for your future. I think that's fate. Like, I think it's willed in a way that doesn't necessarily mean that God put it out there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like God has a path for everybody, but I feel like, you know, I don't. Oh, that's tough.
Fate is like, I mean, if you think about, I just think about signs. Even when you're in a relationship with that, let's say that girl, or you're dating this girl and she's crazy. And that's why I'm like, I don't know about fate, but I just feel like God literally shows you every single sign in life.
Yeah.
No matter if it's bad or good, that this direction that you're going on is gonna work out somehow. Like, even she's crazy, like, oh, you might have slipped up, she might have accidentally thought she was pregnant. But she wasn't pregnant. And she was crazy, and you guys stopped talking. She had got pregnant and had 3 kids with some other dude.
Yeah.
But it wasn't you. Like, and you're like, thank God it wasn't me. But it's like, he was letting you know that she wasn't the one for you, and you got out of that situation. And it's just, I legit always think about situations like that. Always. Even like dangerous situations where a car accident could happen, or like somebody gets in a car accident right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, if I would have drove 3 seconds earlier, that would have been me.
Or five miles per hour faster.
That would have been me right there.
Mr. Invisible.
So I got a good quote on this. It says, the difference between fate and free will. Life is a delicate balance between the two. Fate brings you opportunities, and free will determines whether or not you take them.
Free will determines whether or not you take them.
Take advantage of the opportunities that you're
given. By fate, basically?
No, it said fate brings you the opportunities. Free will determines whether or not you take them.
I get it.
And that's kind of like God and...
So basically, God's plan and fate seem to be one and the same.
Right.
You'll be shown the steps.
Right.
But your free will is determined to take that path and follow it.
Right. And
to
that's
meet
what
your fate.
That's what I always say to people. Like, I'll never blame God for any failure or any... Like, of course, I'll thank him for my success, but any failure that I have, I'm not going to blame him.
Because you're following...
Because I'm following
his steps.
And he showed, if I fail or if something doesn't work out in my favor, it's because I didn't do something or I didn't take that sign to go in that direction.
Man, I keep trying to avoid going toward, like, the God talk.
I know, but it's like he's in. He's in.
Always here. Like,
you are, my brother. You are here, brother.
Damn.
You're right here.
Like,
that's the big homie.
Listen, I'm not trying to avoid you, okay? I promise you, I'm not trying to avoid you.
Yeah, let him know, man. Let him know.
You know, these are questions I got, man. Like, they're just questions. Please, I promise you, they're just questions. Like, don't judge me, Jesus. Please don't judge me. Like, that's all it is, just questions. But that quote, though, it makes sense. Like, it kind of answers my question. Your fate and God's plan are pretty much one and the same. You're gonna be shown the steps to get to where you're supposed to be, and it's your choice to follow your fate or to deter off elsewhere.
And that's what I tell my students. I mean, that a lot of times. I'm like, they'll ask me a question about a girl, or how come she doesn't want to talk to me, or you know,
because God wills it so.
This isn't working. What?
It's because God wills it so. Because she ain't supposed to talk to her.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm telling her. I'm like, you're doing everything right. You're doing what you need to do, my guy. Like, to be successful, like, you're a good kid. It's like, it's not, and it's not like the kids who aren't on the right path, who aren't doing their work, and then it's like the nice kids who don't really know how to talk to women, but kind of. But he's like, how come they don't want me? I'm like, because she's not even in that mindset right now.
She's not following her path.
Even want a nice guy.
Yeah,
like, she doesn't want a nice guy. Young girls, they just want the.
She's not following her path that God is leading.
Talk, brother Danny.
That's
Talk,
all
brother Nettie.
That's all I'm
you
give
preaching
you.
now.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna give you.
That's it. Preaching.
But yeah, so okay, fate, God's plan, seems to be one and the same.
Never blame God. For your failures.
I'm gonna stay.
Just don't.
I'm gonna somewhat stay on the straight and narrow, and keep following the breadcrumbs, because I feel like that it's taking me to where I'm supposed to be.
That's it.
My fate wills it so.
There will always be. Don't ignore the signs. I really live by that. Don't ignore the signs.
Yeah.
Whatever they are, there will be something, and you'll see it light. You'll see it light as day. You'll see that. Don't ignore it.
I can attest. Phil lives that every day.
Don't ignore it.
I try to. I don't. I'm not there yet. I'm still a work in progress. I'm gonna get there one day.
Don't trip. He ain't through with me yet.
I'm gonna get there one day, so it's all good. So before we started recording, you mentioned something about communication with your partner and all of that. Run it by me one more time. What was it?
I mean, communication is big. Sorry, I was singing Johnny Gill. I get carried away sometimes.
Yeah, it's like not focused at the moment. So run me by
communication is big to me, and I was thinking about like even even Mr. Invisible, he brought up long distance. Can you do long distance relationship?
No.
But even he said
no. Keep going.
But just my boys, they talk about it, and again, like peers, students, everybody talks about like, or we don't as a society really know how to communicate. And I was thinking like a lot of them was like, should we be talking on the phone this early? Should we be texting, or like, is it too soon for us to be on the phone, or like we're not talking enough? Like, how do we communicate with one another? How do we like? Is it gonna work if we don't talk every day? Like, it's just the communication is so blurry now, and I think it's because people are thinking about it so much.
You want to know how to fix it?
You don't know how to communicate with your.
You want to know how to fix it? Stop texting. Call somebody. Go meet up and sit down with somebody.
Preach.
You dumb this stupid generation. You millennials. I can use that word now because I ain't one of them.
Because you're not a millennial. Huh?
But you millennials don't know how to communicate to like I'm talking like 25 and under. Like, stop texting people. Call somebody. Meet up with somebody. Look at them in the face.
Even the 30, like, it's just
or even beyond that.
Society really got
here's another reason people can't communicate. Most people can't read. Read a book.
That honestly is true.
Read a book.
Like, people
don't know how to talk because they don't read books.
Because they're so consumed with social media, so they're less likely to even know how to communicate or have a conversation.
Because they go straight to this.
They don't know how to talk.
They don't. I learned how to talk because I learned how to read.
Right.
I read books.
And you talk and you converse with people. Like, they don't know how to talk.
They don't know how to talk to people.
It's like people get anxiety now. Like, they don't know how.
They freak out.
They like freak out. Like, women that you talk to or you date, they freak out because they don't. When you start sounding. And it goes with intimidation, not just women, but men and women. They're intimidated by intelligence, especially if you don't know how to do something that makes you uncomfortable, which allows them not to even want to be in that position.
Watch this. I guarantee you. I'm gonna find somebody. I'm gonna find a person 25 or younger to be a guest on our podcast.
Yeah.
Guarantee you. We're gonna get into some deep.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna talk some deep. Whoever that guest is, I feel bad for you because you ain't gonna know what the to say, how to communicate, you're not gonna know how to respond to what we're going to feed to you. and we're just gonna chew you to shreds.
It's too
I
much.
want to do this on purpose.
But it's just too much substance, and people don't even have the depth. It's really depth now. Like they don't have the depth. What are you about to do?
Hold on. You said too much substance. Too much substance. That's what it is.
Too much substance. Man, the depth isn't there anymore. I feel like because in the dating world, I mean, if you think about just dating world, a lot of people date for short periods of time. If you are of any type of caliber or eligible bachelor or bachelorette and you have any type of substance, the reason why, and you're like a good person, half the time that it works out, I mean, doesn't work out. I don't want to say that it's not you, it's them, but half the time it's them.
It's everybody.
Because when you start trying to talk about life with someone, or morals or beliefs, and they don't even know where to start with that, and they're still figuring out their life, it scares them. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about what my career path is, like how I want my kids to be raised, like or even my faith, or like what are my interests, like what are my real interests, like not Instagram, not Facebook, not Twitter, but what are my real interests, like what am I about? But if you don't even know yourself yet, or know
no idea who you are,
how can you express that to someone else and expect them to just be like, yeah, like I really love the person you are, when you don't even know who the person you are?
I'm afraid for this generation. I'm afraid for this generation and everything that follows, because like talking to a 25 or like year old or younger is like talking to a fucking brick wall. Like they stone face, like no expression, can't respond to simple questions, or can't give you legit. There's no substance whatsoever in their lives, because everything is tweet this, Instagram this, Facebook this, or text this, text that, like, or an emoji. That's how people express these days. A emoji.
And it's really bad. I always recall these situations, and that's when I knew like things were changing, when like back in my dating days, I called a young lady.
We sat on the phone for hours.
But I'm saying I'm just giving you a story about when I called this young lady. She didn't answer. Then she texted me and was like,
"Oh my God,
did you butt dial me? You called?" I'm like, "No, I called you." And then she's like, "Okay, what's up?" "I just wanted to talk to you, whatever." She's like, "Okay, well, we can text. I'm just chilling. And like, what are you doing?" Like, people are really scared of conversation now. So the next day, I wake up, I get this message. You know what? I don't know what you're trying to do here. Like, I don't know, like, why you called me if you're being so respectful. Like, I don't know what you want. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Like, I'm just trying to talk on the phone to you.
Right. And she's like, to be honest, I'm just not used to that. Like, I don't really want to talk on the phone. I'm like, okay, well, there's nothing else. Like, after that, I was like, okay, cool. Like, but after that, there's nothing else
There's nothing else we have to talk about.
What am I interested in?
Nothing.
There's nothing that I'm interested in. Right there, I just knew that there was no substance to you.
Yep.
No substance to you. Ask a young lady out on a date. She said, why do you want to go on a date? Like, what do you mean, why do I want to go on a date? I want to see you physically and talk to you, get to know you as a person, who you are.
Yeah, getting to know women today it's a never-ending puzzle, because you won't know how to proceed. Like, we know how we would want to proceed with it, but what you get off of it, you'll be like, I don't know what to do with this, because trying to talk to them, I'll text you. Okay, well then I'll do texting, trying to communicate that way what you really want to actually say. You'll get short answers back. You get emojis back. Then you just get over it. Like, okay, I'm off that. Now it's time to push on. And it's literally a cycle of nonsense where it baffles me how how relationships form and how they are able to be maintained today because of all this, I would never do it. Like, there's no way in hell I would date a woman under 30. No chance. Because one, we ain't gonna have shit to talk about. Because you still ain't gonna know your own life yet. Let alone me trying to be a part of that life and understand it. You don't even know it yet. Like, how you can't communicate, can't even communicate
this is
yourself.
not just about women. We're men, so I'm sharing my experiences with women because, of course, I don't have any with men.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing my experiences with women.
I mean, but the crazy, it's the same thing. I don't have very few. I don't have that many male friends that are that of young age as well.
Right.
Because even if if you go out with your actual crew, and you could bump into another crew of dudes who are out having a good time, you might want to connect and be like, yo, they seem cool. We can all go out have a good time.
Right.
I won't even do that with cats that are young because they are stupid too. Like,
that's honestly true.
Like, I don't have a problem texting people, but I'm a caller. I want to get on the phone with you. I want to see you in person. I want to sit down and chop it up, have a conversation, see what you are actually about. I don't want to tweet you. I don't want to text you. I don't want to be on Instagram all day. Like, communicate with me. Talk to me.
I mean, it all comes down to, but that's where intimidation comes in. You can be whoever you want to be on social media.
Yeah.
When someone sees you and they meet you and they're talking to you, there's no screening type no more.
No.
There's none of that. Like, you can't be no fraud. You can't be a fake.
No hiding.
You gotta like really present yourself.
Can't hide.
And that's where that intimidation comes in. And they're like, and that's why a lot of times, like, I don't know about, people have went on dates, haven't went on the second one. Not that it wasn't good, but you realize what this person's about and realize, like, I can't even step up to their, like, and it's crazy though, because you don't ever want to say that, but it's like, people think like, I can't even step up to their, but they don't say it, but I can't step up to their level in terms of like, I don't have that, that in me. Like, that's just not me. And that's why a lot of times you get an excuse about, oh, I'm just focusing on myself right now.
Which is the biggest piece of excuse ever.
Just anything. And you're like, huh? But it's like they just don't, they don't have that level of capacity in their, and it's sad to say they don't have that capacity to even go in depth with you about a certain topic or about who they are because they don't know who they are.
Yeah, people will throw the most excuses at you if they don't know how to communicate with you. Like, they can see that you are an intelligent person who can vocally speak and hold a conversation and want to naturally do that, and they'll know themselves that if they can't, then they need to get out. They need to come up with an excuse. Oh yeah, well, I don't really want to date right now. I'm focused on me. I'm doing my thing. Or I'll shoot you a text or some bullshit, or I'll DM you or some shit like that. Like, no. Those people just simply aren't on your level.
Intelligence is
It's a scary thing. And that is another reason why I'm just afraid of this new generation, because they lack a lot of intelligence. I'm sorry, but you millennials are pretty stupid. Pretty stupid. It's sad. But anyway.
Tech savvy, though.
Yeah, y'all can go get that money with the tech stuff, but can you use it? Can you call somebody? Use a phone for what it's actually for. All right, that's my last message on that. Let's close this episode out with a top 5. What you got? What top 5 you got? I need something. What we got? Give me a top 5.
Top 5 singers: Slow Jam Philly, Slow Jam Philly, Slow Jam. Nah, I really don't have. I really do got vocals though, but that's not gonna be my top 5.
We're never gonna share that.
We were discussing black movies.
Black movies.
We could think of
how deep,
black movies.
Because Mr. Invisible mentioned, like, there's so many subtopics. You got black romantic comedies. You got black comedies. You got black dramas. You got. How do we generalize it? You just want to throw some out there?
Yeah, top 5. I don't want to say that impacted you, but that. Top 5 black movies that you remember that, like,
that just had an effect.
A certain scene or something, like, or certain parts stood out to you, even if it wasn't motivational, but just like.
Well, see, we're gonna have some common ones, which I'll cool. I'm gonna still throw them up in the graphics right here. We both agree on The Wood.
The Wood, of course.
Big time influence.
Dang.
I still remember going to see that in the theaters with my peoples. You feel me? The Best Man. Another one that had an impact. Heavy. Mr. Invisible doesn't agree on this one, but we said The Brothers.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I liked it, but he thinks that it's like a knockoff of The Wood.
Like,
when he says it, I like it, but it makes you think a little bit. Like,
they made
we seen
money
this.
off the first one.
We seen this, right? We seen this. What else? I can go back. I mean, Boomerang is one for me.
Boomerang was a good movie.
Marcus Graham is that dude.
Man, what's the list? I mean, I would honestly have to look at off the top of my head. The Wood for sure. 5 Heartbeats for sure.
I mean, does Black Panther
count as a black movie?
It's a newer one, so we gotta.
Yeah.
Let that give it some time.
Give it some time. Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood was cool.
Y'all said Life earlier.
Life yes.
And Friday.
Man. I mean, there's so many. Like you can't. But Brown Sugar.
Brown Sugar was a good one too.
Love and Basketball.
Ooh. Oh.
We going beyond 5.
For sure, Love and Basketball, man.
Cause you a hooper. That's your go-to.
I mean, if I had a top 3, 5 Heartbeats, Wood, Love and Basketball. That's 3. That's just like they're there. Other 2 you could juggle. I feel like.
You know what I'm gonna throw? I would for sure throw in my top 5.
What?
House Party.
Ooh.
Just
Easy.
the first one.
Just the first one.
Yeah, the first one was
Just the first one.
Yeah, first and second.
The second was
yeah.
The college one was dope, but the first one was the one.
Yeah.
Like the third one was crazy too, though.
Yeah, honestly, is that the one with Immature in that one?
Yeah,
Immature. Yeah.
Bernie Mac.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the first one though, where they spitting back and forth and then they
that was Dang. We had some good movies.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna throw all of them up there. I ain't even gonna say that's in no particular order, but we gave you close to a top 5. But if you ain't seen none of those movies, hey, go sit down and chill for a weekend and have a good time. Cause guarantee you gonna love it. If you ain't seen none of them movies, it's gonna be a blessing, and you're welcome. But we gonna wrap this one up, man.
Thank us later.
This is the Thank Me Later podcast, man. We appreciate y'all, man.
I really missed y'all.
Out.
Thank me later, yeah, I know what I said. But later doesn't always come, so instead.